Okay, we are live. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Welcome to the third episode of the GDSC-UI Tech Talk series, GDSC Google Developer Student Club, University of Ibadan. Today, our speaker is Olivia, who will be taking us on how to get an internship at Google. But before we get started, if you are watching us live on YouTube, please introduce yourself in the chat section, your name and your location. Thank you. So wait a little bit for like 3 minutes, then we'll get started. Okay, yeah, Omolayo Latishi from UI. Thank you for joining us. Yewande from UI, thank you for joining us. If you know someone that is meant to be on this in this session and is not here, please kindly broadcast the link to everybody to join. Yeah. So first we'll have Ramat Adetunji take the bio of our speaker. Ramat, take it away.
Okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me clearly, please? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, good evening. Can you all hear me? Victoria, can you
Ramat,
hear
can you
me?
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll be taking the barrel for our speaker this evening. Okay, so starting, Mr. Olivia is a software engineer based in Kigali. He is interested in APIs development, distributed systems, and building tech communities. So let's welcome our speaker today, Mr. Olivia.
Hi everyone. Thank you. My name is Olivier, as Victoria and Ramat
Thank you
just
so
said.
much for that, Ramat. Olivia, please can you turn on your camera? I would like to see your face.
Uh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Sure. Give me a minute.
All right. Adibisi Amori from UI. Welcome. Jeremiah from UI. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. Please invite your friends to join this session. Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Hi again.
Olivia. We can see. Hi.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You can go ahead. The
Uh,
floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. So my name is Olivier, as Ramat just said. I graduated from computer science degree just a few months ago, and I've done my internship at Google as a site reliability engineer intern. So if we are okay, we can get started. Uh, I'll be taking you through how I got my internship there and a couple of lessons I learned through the way that you can all use in case you're interested in getting an internship there. So getting started, I'll maybe first of all say why you should get a job at Google or an internship at Google. Um, I'm sure most of the audience following us here, they're students, so they're probably looking for internships. So there are a couple of things that you need as an engineering student per se, um, and there are things you can benefit from an internship at Google. So first of all, you have a huge learning moment. You're working with like some of the smartest people on the planet, and you're working with like cutting edge cutting edge technologies. You're running a lot of new things, and it will be a really great opportunity for you to learn. They've worked on their systems to optimize learning of their interns or the new engineers joining the teams. So it's an environment set for you to learn and be successful. So first of all, it'll be a really great learning opportunity, and it's also good on your resume. If you have a company like Google, Facebook, or any other big tech company, it'll be easier for you to move from there to any other company. Or even if you want to start your own company, it will be easy for you to raise money. They know you've worked on with these big tech companies. It's like a stamp on your resume that say you're approved in tech, basically. Um, and then it's also good to build very long-lasting connections. As I said, people in media are like quite smart, and they're people in top of their careers, whether in engineering, whether in business also. And there's are connections you will need for a lifetime, as long as you see in this tech thing. And it's a good thing uh, to get to build these connections while you're still a student and still building your career. There's also like a benefits and compensation part. That's also something interesting about working at Google. You get really great salary and parts and other things that you wouldn't easily get in any other company. Now, since we are all clear on those, we can continue with the process basically. I'll briefly tell you how the process was for me and things you can like expect throughout the process. And I think I'll divide this process into two sections. The first section will be getting uh, in the system. I'll say this involves like applying, resume writing, all those things, and then the second part of the process will be interview preparation. Basically, once you're in the process, talking to recruiters, getting your interviews and passing the interviews. So if that's okay, I'll just continue. But let me confirm first if um, I still have everyone here. I hope you all can hear me. Hello. Hello.
Mr. Olivia, we can hear you. Please go on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So starting with the process, how we went for me. So it was the normal, like typical application process. Submit your resume. A recruiter get in touch with you. I applied around May, June, and a recruiter reached back. They sent me a coding challenge, which I passed, but then I wasn't able to move to the next stage since the role was kind of closed. So they put me in a process for the other, say, application cohort for the other year. So what was on my resume once I applied, I think this is very important because many people apply and never get even like noticed, selected. Their resume never get selected. What was on my resume was one DevOps internship, one freelancing kind of job, and one other internship, which was software engineering, and a couple of projects. So especially for internships, they're looking for people who have a bit of experience and people who are willing to learn. So how do they assess this from a resume? They look for your past internships or past work experience. It doesn't have to be something very like a huge work experience in terms of years. Just a couple months of internships. Maybe if it's 2 internships will be better, and a couple of projects, personal projects. This indicate that you're interested in development, and this is where they assess if you're really interested in this coding thing. So I had a couple of projects, 4 projects, and 3 internships once I applied, and I think this is a good thing to set your resume to be. I mean, one of ideal resumes they're looking for. I also, once I was applying, applied to more than 20 internship positions. So this is one of the tips I give to people: apply to as many opportunities as you can. That's where you maximize your chances of getting one of them. I applied to more than 20. I got interviews at 4 of them, and I got an offer from Google only. So you need to like really maximize your chances, and that's that way you like apply to many opportunities as you can. That way you have like higher chances of getting at least one of them or 2. You could use referrals if you know someone who works there already, or the other ways of getting in the process. If you're good at coding competitions, you can join Google coding competitions. They normally select top performers to join their pool of applicants, or you can send LinkedIn email to recruiters if you can, like cold email recruiters. They're also constantly looking for candidates. So it's one of the way to do it, but I've never tried it before, but I've had it worked for some people. Yeah, I think that was it for the process, for things to do before to get yourself in the process. So now we can move on to what happens once you get in the process. So as I was saying, once I applied, a recruiter reached out to me, gave me a coding challenge, and that I was invited to a phone interview. Now this is quite a tricky part. This is, I think, one of those big topics in tech. Lead coding, cracking the coding interviews. These coding interviews questions are really controversial topics. They're mostly data structures and algorithms questions, and most big tech companies ask those questions for their candidates. The reason why they ask these kind of questions is because they're looking for a couple of things in their candidates. They're looking for problem-solving abilities. They're looking for someone who basically can solve a technical challenge regardless of their language or the mastery of their preferred coding language. So that's why they don't basically test you on your coding ability or JavaScript mastery or React mastery. They're mostly looking for problem solving. They're also looking for a potential software engineer. They can nurture into a great software engineer. They're not necessarily looking for a very good one. So that's why they are looking for very basic foundations of computer science per se, like problem solving, data structures, algorithms, because those are things, if you want to make a good engineer, you can start from, rather than from their mastery in maybe a framework or so. Also, these kind of interviews, data structures and algorithms, they are good in identifying other kind of signals they're looking for, like communication, handling of errors, and collaborating with others. This is like a process where you get to together with an interviewer and solve a problem, identify what will work with your solution, improve it together. So it's a communication, collaboration, all those kind of things are tested in these kind of interviews. Yeah, so that's why they basically tend to ask these kind of questions rather than maybe giving you a take-home assignment of building an API or building an application. So these are things you can practice. Normally, like, people are good at these, get good because of practice. So I used a couple of resources to practice too. I used HackerRank and later moved to LeetCode. I used the Cracking Coding, the coding interview book. It's a really great book for starters and contains like all the basics you need for these kind of topics. And I used a tool called Prompt. It's a mock interviews platform where you have like a mock interview with another peer who is also preparing for interviews. So the three main resources I can recommend are LeetCode, cracking the coding interview if you're just starting out, and Prompt for peer mocks. But the other good resources like HackerRank, as I said, ArgoExpert, CodeForces, and more. This process is quite tedious. Studying for these coding challenges is normally a process that takes between 2 and 3 months, depending on how good you are already. And I recommend having a support group. You can basically, I'm sure you can easily get some guys in the DSC club already who are interested in this, and then form a group of 3 or 4 and keep studying together and mock each other, motivate each other, because this is a process which is not necessarily easy to go through alone. And this support group will be something beneficial. Yeah, I think that's basically it for the interviewing process. Once I did my interview, I got 2 phone interviews, and once they passed them, I got into a project matching interview. This is a pool of managers where you keep interviewing with different managers to know which one like would be interested in moving forward with your candidacy. This is quite a light interview, and it isn't that complicated as these are the problem-solving interviews. It's just a chat within you and your potential manager to see if there's a match. And after that, you get an offer. So that's basically it. Maybe quite final tips I can give. You don't really need to be to feel ready to apply. Just as long as you're practicing your data structure and algorithms, start applying as soon as you can. You also have to apply to as many opportunities as you can, as I said. And yeah, if you're actively applying, you should be practicing every day. This is very important. You need to practice. This is the only thing they test on, basically, for interns or new hires. This is the only thing they test on, and you should make it your daily routine to practice. Yeah, try to work on some side projects, get some technical internships if you can, contribute to open source projects if you're interested in that. But yeah, like, convince yourself that you're interested in this tech thing and prove it on your resume, like work on internships, work on projects, and so on. If you can participate in those coding competitions, Google Code Jam, Kickstart, Hashcode, and so on. And yeah, embrace rejections. It's something that happens often. You should learn how to deal with it and never be discouraged. Keep moving. Yeah, stay optimistic. I think that's all from my end. I'll just be taking questions for the rest of the time. But yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you, everyone. Any questions?
Okay, Mr. Olivia, thank you so much for that insightful session. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. Okay, so people from the audience, if you have any questions, please can you drop it in the comment section for Mr. Olivia to take? Any questions?
How about you, Amat? Do you have any question, or what did you get from the session?
Okay, so one thing I was able to get from the old session was that we should practice basically, like, and also we should also keep learning, and then we should always take advantage of opportunities. Yes, there are so many opportunities out there for internships. So once we see them, we should just go for them and not be like, okay, I can't do very well. We should just go for them and then practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, like, just apply for anything you feel you're less qualified for. At least, even if you don't get it, you get to know what exactly you need to work on to get there. I can see Manuel asked about how do we apply, what sites can we apply from? So I think for these big tech companies, most of their careers are on their website, or you can just Google Facebook careers or Facebook internship programs, and you get a link directly to the application page. It's the same thing with the Google. If you go to careers.google.com, you get all the open roles. You can select student roles, which are basically internships and new grad jobs, and you can apply from there. Mostly, yeah, if you just Google whichever company you want to apply for, just Google its name and internships. You'll get a link, probably linking you to the application site. And yeah, like any company that comes to your mind, if you're working with if you're working with Flutterwave, just Google Flutterwave internships. Like figure out if they have that kind of a program, and just apply. Like any company you can think of.
Okay, Olivia, are you done?
Yeah, that was my presentation. I expected this to be more of like an interaction session later, but there are no more questions. So yeah, we can call it a
Okay, I
day.
think we have a question in the comment section. Did you see it from Emmanuel?
Yeah, the
Have you
question.
answered
Yeah, the
it?
question from Emmanuel. Yeah, I've answered it.
So people from the audience, any other questions before we call it a day? Any other questions for Mr. Olivia concerning getting internships or applying for internships and landing internships successfully? Any other questions?
Okay, I guess there is no more questions. Please, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat section. Thank you so much, Olivia, for taking out time to take us throughout to get internship. If you missed any parts of this session, you can always come back to YouTube to watch it. It's going to be here on YouTube permanently. Yeah. So, um, Olivia, do you have any words of advice for the closing of this session?
Uh, yeah, I think I've said basically everything. Thank you guys for having me. This is a really interesting opportunity for everyone, especially if you're in Africa and you maybe you want to relocate and explore opportunities outside. Most of these internships will relocate you, and yeah, you can decide to continue working there or come back to work on the continent.
Mm.
But these are really great opportunities that everyone should take. Should consider at least in their careers if you're into engineering. But yeah, that was it. Thank you, everyone. If you have any other more questions, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll paste my LinkedIn profile in the chat section.
Sorry, Mr. Olivia, for interrupting you, but two questions just dropped in this chat section. Yes, one from Latifat Salami and the other from Latunde Oluwanifemi.
Okay, yeah, I can see one from Latifa. What are the time frames for internships? Are there periods when the positions are open? So most of the internships are open throughout the summer, from end of May till end of September. That's the period where you get most opportunities. But companies remain open for internships, especially the big ones, throughout fall or winter. But it's better to apply for summer internships. For summer internships, most applications open in October of the previous year. For example, the internships for 2022 opened in October 2021 throughout December 2021 for most companies. So yeah, it's better to target those periods, because that's when companies take more interns. And then the question from Latunde: are there small tech companies can seek internship with? Yeah, small tech companies also hire interns, but this will be more likely. These will be more likely local companies, because small international companies, I don't think they will have a budget for interns, most likely. So these kind of internships that you can work for any company internationally are mostly available for big tech companies. They are the ones who set like a budget to hire international interns and can fly them to their location. In my case, I was working with the Google Play team in London. Are there internships? Are there also remote internships? Yes, there are remote internships. My internship was remote, though I was supposed to move to London to be in the same time zone with my team, but it was remote, and but that was due to COVID. I'm not sure like of internships which are naturally remote, and yeah, I don't think these big tech companies will necessarily have a remote internship if it was not for COVID. But yeah, it might be something that will happen in the future. Yeah, I think those were the questions.
Okay, I guess that's the whole. If you have any more questions, please drop it in the chat section. Okay.
Mr. Olivia, I think I have a question for you. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay,
can
so
I?
for these internships, especially tech internships, can total beginners apply for them? Because I've come across internships where their requirement states that you must have at least 1 to 3 years of experience, and we all know that a total beginner obviously can't have 1 to 3 years of experience in the field. So, what is your take on that? Like for total beginners, just transitioning into tech. Thank you.
All right, yeah, that's a good question. Um, there are internships which are like set
If
for
you can hear me.
very beginners, like people are starting learning this tech thing. They're mostly not available for like international students. I think they're mostly available, um, since we are talking in the context of these big tech companies. they're mostly available to like students who are based in London if it's a London office, or based in the US if it's a US internship. But I think they're recently opening them up to even international students. Like for example, Google has what is called STEP internship. It's a 12-week program where you have a partner you work with on a project. So it's quite light and easy compared to the other internship program where you have to work on a project on your own. And there's I think Facebook has the same program as well. And other companies have this kind of like a few weeks, 4 weeks kind of programs for beginners, because internship projects are quite advanced per se. They are not really beginner friendly, so they want people who are quite advanced. So that's why they make these shorter programs for beginners that you can apply for. Yeah, so some companies do, some companies don't, and it's quite harder to get those done to get a typical internship. So yeah, I'll say like put in 1 year of learning, you will really be ready for those. Like I can guarantee you don't need more than 1 year of learning and working on projects. That's totally enough for you.
Thank you very much for that response, Mr. Olivier. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can call it a day since there are no more questions coming.
Okay. Please confirm if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So quick announcement. If you are part of the okay. Yeah, I guess that will be all. If you miss any part of this session, you can always come back to watch it on YouTube live. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Rama. Thank you, Olivia. Bye for now.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone.